Payday 3 sucked and it's bad on launch and I refunded it. This whole video is irrelevant now. Oh my god, it's genuinely awful and not fun to progress and the matchmaking doesn't work. I'm sorry I didn't see this during my time in the beta. Forgive me for my sins. Now that that's out of the way, it's that time of year. The Steam Next Fest is upon us, and along with it is a large cascade of indie game demos. It seems like a strange thing to get attached to, but man, my love for demos knows no bounds. Being able to play a sneak preview of an upcoming game before it's out has always been a fascinating feeling to me, which is why I get all giddy when each Next Fest rolls around each year. And besides, it's free content. So for this video, I'll be trying out a sample pack of demos that piqued my curiosity and going through them one by one. I'll be explaining how well of a first impression they each made, alongside how likely I am to pick up the game when they inevitably launch. Most of these games unlock in a couple of weeks or so, which will ensure that they'll be fresh in my mind when the time comes. Let's discuss our first demo. Tony, roll the clip. First up, we have American Arcadia, developed by Out of the Blue and published by Raw Fury. They've made a ton of games, however none of them made their way into my Steam library. I did have quite a few wishlisted: Sable, Norco, Friends vs. Friends I heard was really good, with their most notable being Kingdom 2 Crowns. I had heard great things about this studio, but never really dove deep into their catalog. But after having played this brief demo of theirs, I'm proud to say that I liked it, and that I might return to that catalog. You're thrust into the role of Trevor Hills, an ordinary office worker who works at a totally normal company, INAC. You've recently found out that your friend Gus was given an all-expenses-paid vacation from work, which doesn't seem in character for him.
That Gus ever applied for the travel grant. Hey guys, did you lose your...
A hacked display board thing reveals an ominous message that gets us to follow a breadcrumb trail into a backstage area. This is where we're introduced to a mysterious hacker lady named Angela that's trying to help us escape from the evil clutches of INAC. Along the way, you'll encounter some basic platforming, an action section, and a lot of holding the D key. But not before playing the perspective of Angela attempting to grant us proper elevator clearance. The two gameplay styles are cool and do a serviceable job of complementing each other. Loop a few cameras, get a passcode, and all's right in the world. All in all, it was a 20-minute showcase of what the game is, and it left me wanting to continue it when it releases on November 15th. Hey you. Yes, you there. No, not you. That guy, yes. The one I'm directly pointing to. Are you an avid Steam user? Would you happen to be a big fan of boomer shooter FPS throwbacks? Are you at all sick of them? No? Good, because Forgive Me Father 2, it didn't really impress me all too much, honestly. Look, I know that this could have been just a me problem, as the game already came out and premiered with quite positive reviews already, but I really didn't have much fun playing. Let's discuss the positives first. The presentation looks really good. It absolutely nails the theme it's trying to go for, with some wonderfully done sprites and natural looking environments. I like how the guns feel to shoot, and the high difficulty provided a great challenge to overcome. It just sucks that there was a heap of technical and performance problems on my end. Obviously the Cruelty Squad video was a bit ago, but as of right now I have a pretty good computer, and this thing would consistently lag to low frame rates even without OBS on. Capping the frame rate and lowering graphics options helped, but there was also some more problems with the game as a whole. First, no option to turn off the obnoxious view bombing or weird HUD jankery. The lack of more settings also kind of bugged me as well, but that's nothing compared to this. The game would just occasionally tear so bad it would create a void into space-time, which is really distracting when you're getting mauled by these garish ghouls. And did I say occasionally? I mean it happens all the time. Enemies weren't all too threatening for the most part, except for the fact that they don't make directional footstep sounds when approaching you, and there aren't any damage indicators to see where you've been hit from, and the fact that there isn't a way to crouch. Yeah, you know what? Maybe the enemies were somewhat threatening, but for all the wrong reasons. The amount of darkness made traversal pretty annoying despite how mostly impossible it is to get lost, so I decided to turn the brightness all the way up, and it actually improved the experience. Did it ruin the immersion? Maybe, but hell if it didn't make the game slightly more playable. Many things weren't tutorialized very well also. Like, what does this book thing even do? Please, someone out there inform me. It's hard to put into words, but the controls felt pretty lackluster and not as snappy as you'd like for a game in this genre. Another piece of jank is the dynamic music system that plays a sound when an enemy is near you every single time. And overall, it just seems like a game that looked polished up and pretty for trailers, but kind of falls apart when you actually play it. But hey, this is a demo version we're talking about here. If the game's getting this much positive reception already, maybe the things I complained about were ironed out in the official release. Who knows? For now, I'm going to be cautious when picking this up, but check it out for yourself if you're keen on proving me wrong. Maybe you'll like it more than I did. Following that, we have a game published by the holy grail of indie publishers, called KarmaZoo. Developed by Pasta Games, it touts itself as a casual co-op platformer where up to 10 random players are tasked with helping each other get good karma. I was definitely skeptical how well it would work as a demo, and from what I played, I enjoyed it. Admittedly, I didn't play as much of it as I wanted to, with school and other personal projects in the way. Pathetic excuse, I know. But from the sneak peek I got, this looks to be something wonderful and creative that has rarely been explored in games. Nonverbal communication with strangers. Remember when you played Journey for the first time? And yes, I'm assuming you've all played Journey. It's required reading for this channel, as you know. So anyway, you watched the Adam Ruins Everything episode on video games and heard about it on there and decided to check it out. What? That's only me who did that? Ah, fuck. And so, you buy this game, think it looks cool, and then you see this companion you have. He joins you and you have fun dicking around in the sand or whatever until your router goes out and the game doesn't work anymore. So you realize that that wasn't an NPC, but rather another human. Or the game diegetically revealed it through subtle clues and environmental storytelling. What? Who said that? Anyway, you made that discovery, and it made you fundamentally rethink how communication via an entertainment medium can connect us as humans in totally unique ways never seen before. Still only me? Wow, tough crowd. Anyway, that was a long-winded and unnecessary way of saying that KarmaZoo gives me Journey vibes. It utilizes some basic reward mechanics and pre-established character-based roles to enforce an aura of teamwork and friendship. It's wholesome multiplayer, which is completely different than dicking around with friends in Portal co-op and killing them over and over again. No, this is co-op without any words that can still allow players to eloquently communicate through the mechanics and solve problems together. And personally, I'm a big fan. I need more cozy, laid-back games to play, and I've killed enough stick figures in People Playground for multiple lifetimes, so I think that this might do the trick. Go check out KarmaZoo when it releases. Next up, we got Wizordum, another retro-inspired FPS title made by Emberheart and published by... Apogee? That's unexpected, but really cool nonetheless. But unlike our previous boomer shooter title, this game features a fantasy setting, seemingly reminiscent of 90s fantasy FPS games such as Heretic and Hexen. And listen, after playing Forgive Me Father 2, this was a breath of fresh air. Playing on the hardest difficulty once again, it felt fairly challenging and rewarding throughout. The levels are surprisingly winding, but never feel overwhelming or confusing. You may have to search around for keys and lock doors for a few minutes, but it'll all be worth it in order to experience the wonderful selection of weapons the demo has for us. One note that I will make is that the game peaked in difficulty when you just got the fire gloves and they started throwing hard enemies at you pretty quickly. Managing resources was important, but felt easier, especially when we got another weapon in our hands later. Despite this, the demo was consistently fair and fun during its short half-hour duration. I recommend wishlisting it and trying it out. Next up on our list is The Last Faith, made by Kumi Souls Games and published by PlayStack, another publisher that suffers from the same wishlist-only fate. This demo is a 2D Metroidvania Souls-like type game. I mean, I do enjoy some Hollow Knight every now and then. Not too much of a fan of the genre otherwise, but hey, let's give it a shot. And after playing it, yeah, it's hard, but damn, this game just radiates atmosphere. Gameplay. Now, I'm no Souls-like connoisseur, but I can definitely see some Bloodborne DNA spliced with Salt and Sanctuary here. Was that correct? Did I get that right? Yeah? Okay, my Souls-like guy over here, he just put his thumbs up, so I'm gonna say I got that right. Dodging feels satisfying, and actions have the perfect amount of weight. I wasn't in love with the weapon selection at first, or at least I wasn't until I got my hands on this gigantic badass sword that smacks schools and ghosts harder than that train from the Unreal Life video. Listen, I'm not super qualified to discuss Souls-like games like this, but from the very hearty demo preview, I felt properly challenged and rewarded by the end. Very polished, really hard. Check it out. Laika. Okay, so going into this game, I had no idea what to expect. But furry motorcycle bloodsport Metroidvania was something I legit didn't see coming. To summarize, this game plays like a really polished up Flash game. You know, the physics-based ones with the motorcycles and cars and whatnot. Yeah, heavy vibes emanating from that corner, and with a heaping of blood and gore to really sell that aesthetic. Jokes aside, this game made a fantastic first impression. I was skeptical about how well traversal would feel, especially with the weird flip to reload, flip the other way to regain parry charge mechanic. That kind of broke my brain early on, but wow does it feel satisfying to just traverse the terrain. Objectives feel somewhat non-linear, or at least there wasn't a set-in-stone order to follow when completing them. I did my best to get all of the optional objectives done, but there are definitely stones I left unturned, which is crazy to say about a demo. There was just one thing that kind of bogged the game down for me, and it was, dun dun dun, crafting system. Like, why does this have to be in the game? Does crafting useless crap really make the game more fun? You could argue that it incentivizes exploration, but you know what punishes exploration? The pseudo Dark Souls Hollow Knight drop X item on death mechanic, which should only be reserved for games that can benefit from it, in my opinion. I don't know, man. This game is also out already, so maybe once I get my grubby little hands on the full release, these systems will be given time to breathe and develop over the course of the game. For now, however, this demo was super fun, and I highly recommend checking it out. That guy's dead. Conscript. Ooh boy, Conscript. Right off the bat, I love the aesthetic and atmosphere. This game looks right out of the GBA or PSP, and yet portrays such a cripplingly dark setting beautifully. The horrors of war are shown in full effect. Nothing is shied away from or hidden. But here's a lesson in dealing with humility. I played Conscript on the highest difficulty, and holy wowzers was it hard. Constantly scouting for the smallest bits of ammo and resources, dealing with enemies who would just tank bullets like they were Tic Tacs, getting lost for a while trying to find the right door to use the specific key I got all the way on the other side of the map. Fun times, but for real. The difficulty did make the experience more fun in a way. Normally, I'm not the one for high difficulty options if they were designed to be more frustrating and punishing rather than challenging and rewarding. However, in a strange turn of events, I didn't mind the frustration aspect here, because in a weird way, it felt more immersive and true to the game's story. I might be going crazy here, but it felt utterly brutal as your forces were gradually whittled down and were all eventually discovered dead, aside from yourself and another survivor, of course. The blows just kept on coming, and it felt great to eventually rise and overcome them. But yeah, the getting lost thing just seemed like the only major complaint outside of difficulty. Like it wasn't always clear where to use what, and a lot of things didn't seem necessary to complete the demo. But like many of the other demos that were previously discussed, this one won't lose points because of aspects that have clearly not been shown in a fully realized way. From what I've played, Conscript was adequately sold to me through the demo, and if you're prepared to sweat a lot, it just might be the most immersive war game you've played in years. Well, that's cool. But that'll be for time to tell. Final 2, let's go. And man, do I have an exciting penultimate game for you guys. It's called The Drifter. Continuing the trend of point-and-click games that have gotten me hooked throughout the past year, The Drifter is shaping up to be that second illustrious title. I believe it's being developed by Powerhoof, someone I'm unfamiliar with sadly, but from the preview I played, they seem more than capable of delivering a wonderful final product. Like I said, it's a point-and-click adventure game, set in a fantasy world where homeless people roam the streets and the impoverished are used as school projects by so-called activists. Wait, that wasn't the fantasy part? Really? Oh. Well, maybe I should bring up the weird Sam Fisher ninjas and crazy serum that's seemingly turning all the hobos crazy. Yeah, that makes more sense. But yeah, the writing in this game is charmingly witty and the voice acting is top-notch. Bravo.
Wow. About as sensitive as I'd expect from a rich city kid.
What was the last game you played that had good voice acting in it, let alone an indie game? It's definitely been a minute. I'm too used to hearing looping audio and Animal Crossing voices for indie characters, but man, it feels nice to give my inner monologue the day off and let the audio seep into my brainwaves naturally. It's only a demo, but I really don't want to spoil too much of it, considering how much it relies on the story it tells as its main crux. So check it out for yourself, and wishlist it on Steam when the full release comes out. And finally, after all of that pain and suffering, after the gnashing of teeth ceased to be, we get to our final demo, Jusant. And yeah, this might be my favorite one so far, purely from a fun gameplay perspective. Now, I don't have any footage of it on hand, but I really love the Climb VR, and it made me realize how fun scaling a dangerous snowy peak could really be. So, when you get the Climb and splice it with the typical indie 3D art style you've seen 1,000 times by now, you get Jusant. I mean, what else can I even say? This game just feels so enjoyable to play. Listen, it does have a bit of a learning curve to get over, like most things, and once you get over it, the mechanics click, and you're swinging all over the goddamn place, and it's awesome. I will say that there was some OBS related screw up nonsense that occurred, most noticeably in the opening cinematic. Yeesh. But once I lowered the graphics and capped the frame rate, everything seemed fine from there. The climbing and scaling felt sublime. It was like I was really in the game, scaling up a gigantic castle wall that was seemingly abandoned for years. We even get a little guy by the end. Come on. How the hell are you just sitting there watching this video with your popcorn when you can be playing this? But anyways, that was quite a ride. I'd like to thank you all for watching the video. It means a lot to me that people are still tuning in. The next video is going to take a while, and is another passion project of mine, meaning it's probably going to be a long one. Not as long as Unreal Life, hopefully, but still, you should be worried. Now that school's ramping up, there's no concrete release date for it, so just stay tuned for now until I get all the details ironed out. Like, if you liked what you saw, sub here on YouTube for infrequent community posts and even more infrequent uploads. Follow my Instagram if you want. Check out my Linktree for links to all these social medias, including my Steam and Album of the Year account, so you can harass me for my garbage takes on all sorts of media. And if you think anyone else out there would click with my videos, please don't be shy to show them. They might only hate you for life for doing it. And yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.